ANC's National Policy Conference at the Nasrec Expo Centre in southern Johannesburg. No fewer than 7 Commission briefings are being held today to report on policy deliberations which have been held behind closed doors. More than 3,500 delegates are involved in these discussions. It's expected that light will be shed on the shape and form of the ANC's much-awaited policy proposals. It's a jam-packed day of briefings as chairpersons of various subcommittees brief the media on the outcomes of the Commission discussions on the different policy documents. The most anticipated briefing will be that of the Economic Transformation Commission, which would have dealt with radical economic transformation and will clarify the concept of monopoly capital. The issue of accelerating land reform will also come under the spotlight with a focus on expropriation and compensation. Well, let's get more now from the policy conference. We cross to our business reporter, Diabo Sito. She's live from Nasrec. Diabo, good afternoon. So one of the big ones we're waiting for today in terms of policy discussions, that Economic Transformation Committee's briefing. What can we expect?
Good afternoon, Natasha. Well, we can brace ourselves today because I'm reliably told that it's going to be a very long day compared to what we saw the past few days. This is because at the moment the commissions are currently underway. I know that the Communications Commission is underway, and also the Economic Transformation Commission, which you've just alluded to, is also underway. And right after that, there'll be plenary sessions taking place. I believe that will be right after lunchtime, which means that the press briefing that we are anticipating for today of the Economic Commission Transformation Committee will be much later today. But of course, the SABC has rolling coverage of this, and we will be bringing you all those press briefings as well as everything that came out of that live. However, Natasha, you know that with big conferences such as this one, they have to be held somewhere. And as you've been saying in your intro, that this one is being held at the Nasrec Expo Centre. This is a centre that is very familiar to our viewers at home because it's just right next to the M1 highway on the south of Johannesburg. If you live in Soweto, for instance, you know it very, very well. If you live in Meerdale, you know it very, very well. However, there are economics that are involved with hosting such a big conference, and there's money involved in you wanting to host a conference of this magnitude. I have with me Craig Newman. He is the CEO of the Nasrec Expo Centre, and he will give us the rands and cents of just how big and how much a centre like this makes on a big conference like this. Craig, thank you very much for making time to speak to us. This is such a big venue. You said to me, is it 500,000 square meters?
Correct, 500,000 square meters.
How many people walk into the Nasrec Expo Centre annually? And just give me a brief history of this place.
Yeah, thanks, Diabo. We will have over 1 million people through our gates on an annual basis for a whole host of different events. The size of this venue allows for quite a few different types of events to take place. So, like, for example, the hosting of the ANC Policy Conference now. But as you know, the Rand Show, the venue is more famous for being the host of the Rand Show. And over and above that, we host a whole lot of other business-to-business exhibitions, which brings people from all walks of life through our gates. And as I said, we'll host over 1 million people through our gates on a year-on-year basis.
I'm glad that you host this. You are hosting this particular conference, which is geared towards making sure that the economy grows. This is where the Expo Centre, as big as this one, houses businesses who will sell their wares. But how much of black participation or black vendors do you house here who are also promoting their own business?
At the moment for the conference, there's over 60 vendors operating on site. Within the site. Over and above that, we have the PBF exhibition, which is taking place in a one hall. You see, when we were approached by the ANC to host this event, they were looking for a venue that could all under one footprint host all the elements that make their conference a success, and we were able to give them that and more at this venue. So they've got specific areas where they've got the PBF exhibition, they have the vendors throughout the grounds as you've seen, and then they have their big plenary rooms and all their breakaway rooms. You know, we're catering for 5,000 people a day here on the site, so there isn't a venue in this country that can do that. You know, we are feeding people lunch and dinner on a daily basis. That's 10,000 meals a day. There's not a venue in this country that can cope with that kind of infrastructure.
That's all very well and impressive, but how much of what you do is actually expanding to the residents or the surrounding areas of Nasrec Expo Centre? Do you bring in people who live nearby? Do you contract them to come and help out with that? Because of course we are talking about expanding the economy and making sure that everyone participates from a very grassroots level up to the Nasrec Expo level.
Yes, absolutely, and that was one of the requirements that we needed to fulfill, that we bring in and grow the local communities. So we're using the local communities within our labor force, but not only that, we're using them within our management teams, transferring of skills, educating. So we are taking everything from all our local communities and using them in the catering services, in the security services, in the general maintenance services, and as you can see, the access and egress control to this place. So they have been used in all of these areas, and most importantly, they have an opportunity to upskill themselves and get a skill.
Black procurement is also one of the big things that we are focusing on. How much of that, what percentage of black procurement in all of these things that you've mentioned?
Well, particularly for this event, I mean, we're only basically using companies that have, their proper BE accreditation. And as far as what the venue's providing as a service is concerned, we've made sure that we comply with the ANC's requirements on that as a political party.
Perhaps I can press you on this one. There's been word about whether the December conference of the ANC will be held here. Can you give us a confirmation of that, if that will be happening here?
Diabo, from your lips to God's ears. That's how I'm going to answer that. But, as the venue, what we've done is we've made sure that the ANC as a political party, their stay here was very comfortable. We made sure that we delivered on everything that we need to deliver on to make sure that their conference is a success. And we've done all of that. It's now in their hands as to whether they come back in December. And as I say, as a venue, we would welcome them back again.
Craig, let's talk about expansion plans of your company. Are you planning to refurbish this place, to expand it? Of course, we want to be competing with the best in Africa, with the best in the world. What are your plans, expansion plans with regards to this venue?
Let me answer it this way. You asked earlier on for a bit of history. So we basically took the venue over from its previous owners in 2006. And since 2006, we've injected over 150 million rand back into the venue, upgrading, refurbishing. As part of the course, on a year-on-year basis, we spend over 5 million rand a year just on upgrading various elements of this facility. So it's a big facility. And, if you take the roof structure, we spent over the last year, we spent 7 million rand just refurbishing and fixing the roof structure. The toilets, if you go into any of our toilets, you see the condition that they're in. We've spent over 5 million fixing them up. So continuously on a year-on-year basis, the shareholders make it a point that we continuously put money back into this facility to keep it to standard, not just to African standard or to be the leaders in African standard, but to be the leaders in the world as far as what we can offer any of our users. Bearing in mind, we're a very versatile venue. Yeah. So we are used not only for conferences and exhibitions, we're used for events, we're used for church services, we're used for marathons, we're used for weddings, we're used for birthday parties. So the diversity and flexibility of this venue is unparalleled compared to anything else in this country. And we make sure that as owners and the shareholders, we continuously put money back in to keep it relevant and to keep it up to date with what's happening and what the rest of the world can offer.
Craig, thank you very much for making time to speak to us. Now we know all the work that goes on behind a venue such as this one. Thank you so much for making time to speak to us.
Thank you for having me on the news.
Natasha, that was Craig Newman. He is the CEO of the Nasrec Expo Centre. He has been giving us the ins and outs of exactly how many people this place houses, and he says that on an annual basis they have over 1 million people walking into this venue. They don't only do conferences, of course, they also do weddings, church gatherings, and everything that he's mentioned. And it's back to you in the studio.
Diabo, thanks so much. I'm sure we'll catch up with our business reporter Diabo Sito throughout the day. A very busy day on day 5 of the policy conference.